Hello and welcome back to Horrorholic, the series where we explore the darkest corners of folklore and fear from around the world. In today's episode, we journey to the Indonesian archipelago to confront one of its most enduring and culturally significant supernatural figures, the Pocong. This isn't just another ghost story. The Pocong's terror doesn't come from being the most violent or dramatic specter, but from its deep roots in real religious practice, collective memory, and the profound fear of unfinished obligation. This origin makes the Pocong a figure that feels uncomfortably close to everyday life, a haunting reminder of ritual immortality rather than a distant, abstract mythology. The belief in Pocong originates directly from the Islamic funerary customs that spread across the island of Java. Between the 13th and 16th centuries, introduced by Arab, Persian, and Indian traders and scholars, as these new religious practices were adopted, they didn't erase the past, but instead blended with the older animistic and Hindu-Buddhist traditions that were already deeply embedded in Javanese society, creating a unique synthesis of belief that gave birth to this particular spirit. While the legend is most widespread and deeply felt in Java, its chilling presence is known and feared across the entirety of Indonesia, a testament to its powerful cultural resonance. At its core, the Pocong is understood as a restless, sometimes malevolent spirit believed to arise when a deceased person's burial rites are incomplete or have been improperly performed, a soul quite literally tied to its mortal coil. The genesis of the Pocong comes directly from Islamic funeral tradition. In these rites, the body of the deceased is washed, perfumed, and then wrapped in a simple, seamless white burial shroud known as the kain. This shroud is then secured by tying knots at several key points traditionally over the head, around the neck, and at the feet to keep the cloth in place during the body's final journey to the grave. According to both religious guidance and deeply ingrained local folklore, it is crucial that these ties are loosened or completely untied once the body has been laid to rest in the earth. This act is profoundly symbolic, representing the final release of the soul from its worldly bonds, allowing it to move on to the afterlife. It is from the failure to perform this final, simple act that the legend of the Pocong springs. According to folklore, if these ties are not released, whether due to a hasty burial, a lack of proper knowledge, or even the fear of the mourners, the soul becomes trapped. It is caught in a liminal state between the world of the living and the realm of the dead, unable to complete its journey. The spirit, in its confusion and distress, is then believed to rise from the grave, still bound in its burial shroud, to wander the earth as a This state of unrest can also be triggered by other unresolved issues, such as a life cut short by violent or unjust death, or the weight of unfulfilled obligations and promises left behind, all of which can anchor a soul to the world it was meant to leave. The appearance of the Pocong is one of the most distinctive and terrifying in the pantheon of global ghosts. It manifests as a figure wrapped completely in its white burial shroud, a stiff, columnar shape that immediately signifies its origin. The face, when visible, is often described as pale, desiccated, or in an advanced state of decay, a ghastly visage peering out from the opening in the shroud. In some accounts, its eyes are hollow, black voids, while in others, they are said to glow with an eerie, cold light. Because its arms are pinned to its sides by the tight wrappings of the kain, the Pocong is physically incapable of walking in a normal, human fashion. Instead, it is forced to move by hopping or jumping, like a person in a sack race. In other, more terrifying versions of the lore, it doesn't touch the ground at all, simply floating silently and unnaturally through the air. This bizarre and unsettling mode of locomotion makes the Pocong instantly and unmistakably recognizable, its very movement a declaration of its unnatural state. The behavior of the Pocong is as varied as the reasons for its return. These spirits are almost exclusively nocturnal. Their appearance is most commonly reported at night, particularly in the quiet, liminal hours after midnight. They are said to haunt places associated with death and transition, such as graveyards, desolate country roads, and dark, abandoned buildings. They are also known to appear suddenly in the middle of villages, standing silently under a banana tree or by a riverbank, their static presence more terrifying than any sudden action. While often silent, its stillness radiating an aura of profound sorrow and menace, a Pocong may also be heard moaning softly or crying, sometimes even calling out for help to anyone unfortunate enough to be near. There are differing accounts regarding its intentions. Some folk traditions say the Pocong is primarily seeking assistance. It appears before the living in a desperate attempt to have someone untie the knots of its shroud, believing this will finally set its soul free. In this interpretation, it is a figure of pity. However, other versions paint a much darker picture, portraying the Pocong as a harbinger of fear and misfortune, an entity that actively seeks to terrorize humans, spread curses, or cause harm. This unpredictability is a key element of its horror. One can never be sure if the shrouded figure is a lost soul begging for release or a malevolent entity bent on causing suffering. The Pocong holds a profound cultural meaning, serving as a powerful symbol for a variety of deep-seated societal anxieties. At its most fundamental level, it represents the fear of an improper burial and the anxiety surrounding the correct performance of religious duty. It is a manifestation of the guilt the living may feel toward the dead, a ghostly reminder that ritual mistakes and neglected responsibilities have real, tangible consequences that can echo back from beyond the grave. Unlike many other vengeful ghosts in Indonesian folklore, such as the Pocong is often seen as a tragic figure, more to be pitied than hated. It is not inherently evil, but a trapped soul, a victim of circumstance, which makes its haunting all the more poignant. Elders and community leaders often believe that sightings of Pocong are not random. They tend to follow instances of improper burials, violent or unjust deaths within the community, or periods of significant social or moral disruption, serving as a supernatural barometer of the community's spiritual health. As with any widespread folklore, the Pocong has numerous regional variants, each adding a unique layer to the myth. In some areas, there are tales of the Pocong Merah, a far more dangerous version wrapped in a red-stained shroud, believed to be the spirit of a murder victim and is exceptionally vengeful and violent. In East Java, there is the legend of the Andong Pocong, a ghostly procession led by a Pocong riding a spectral horse-drawn carriage, an omen of widespread disaster. One of the most famous modern legends comes from Yogyakarta concerning the Code River Pocong, a story about a large colony of spirits said to be led by the Pocong of a murdered shaman haunting the riverbanks where he met his end. Given the deep belief in this entity, traditional methods of protection are an integral part of the folklore. The most common and widely accepted form of protection is the recitation of Islamic prayers, particularly verses from the Quran, which are believed to repel malevolent spirits. Practical advice includes avoiding graveyards and other haunted places at night. And, crucially, never mocking or making light of Pocong stories, as disrespect is thought to attract their attention. The ultimate preventative measure, of course, is ensuring that funeral rites are performed correctly and with the utmost care. While a Pocong might appear to be seeking help to untie its shroud, approaching one is rarely advised. The spirit's behavior is notoriously unpredictable, and what might seem like a plea for help could quickly turn into a terrifying or harmful encounter. In the modern era, the Pocong has transcended its folkloric origins to become an icon of Indonesian pop culture. It is an extremely popular figure in the country's prolific horror film industry, often appearing in both serious horror movies and, perhaps more surprisingly, in a subgenre of comedy horror where its terrifying appearance is played for laughs. It has become the subject of countless urban legends, internet memes, and viral social media challenges. Yet, despite this frequent humorous portrayal, the underlying fear of the Pocong remains deeply embedded in the cultural psyche. For many Indonesians, particularly in rural areas, it is not a fictional monster, but a very real and terrifying possibility. The uniqueness of the Pocong becomes clear when compared to other prominent ghosts in Indonesian lore. Unlike the kuntilanak, the ghost of a woman who died in childbirth, seeking her lost child and revenge on men, or the sandal belang, a prostitute ghost who represents social injustice, the Pocong is distinct. It is largely gender-neutral, as anyone, male or female, can become one. Its origin is not rooted in personal tragedy or social commentary, but is explicitly religious, tied directly to the specifics of Islamic burial ritual. It is the ultimate symbol of an unfinished death, a soul that has failed to transition. This is what makes the Pocong so compelling. It is not always evil, but a trapped soul caught between worlds, its very existence. A tragedy making it a figure that inspires a complex mix of fear, sorrow, and profound unease. Across Indonesia and Asia, countless spirits like Pocong exist not as monsters, but as echoes of unfinished lives and unresolved truths. If you enjoy uncovering the deeper meanings behind Asian folklore, horror, and forgotten legend stories that blend history, belief, and human fear, then this channel is for you. Subscribe and follow to explore more true folklore, cultural mysteries, and chilling stories from across Asia. Thank you for watching, and remember, some stories don't end at death. They wait to be remembered.